Please rise. Municipal Court for the City of Stoughton is now in session. The Honorable Matthew T. Rothy presiding.
Please be seated. Please remove all hats, silence all cell phones, cease conversations. We'll call the court to order at this time. My name is Matt Rothy. I'm the Stoughton Municipal Judge that covers the jurisdictions of City of Stoughton, Towns of Dunkirk, Pleasant Springs, and Rutland. I'd like to go through some of the procedures we follow in the courtroom. These procedures should have been available to you in the pamphlet on the podium as you entered. This is initial appearance night. We take people on basically have a list and take people on a first come, first served basis. The purpose of this hearing tonight is just to receive a plea. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. If you enter a no contest or guilty plea, I'll review your citation, and if there's a factual basis, find you guilty and impose an appropriate forfeiture. A plea of if you plead guilty, that means that you're admitting guilt, and then I'll confirm it with the police report and enter a fine and an appropriate penalty. A plea of no contest is similar to a guilty plea, but a conviction arising from a no contest plea cannot be used against you in a subsequent civil action. Let me explain that. Say if you're involved in a traffic accident and you receive a citation, if you enter a no contest plea, that means the person that you allegedly hit can't use that no contest plea against you if they sue you for damages later. If you're in doubt between a guilty or no contest plea, I always recommend that people enter a no contest plea. The forfeiture ranges from $25 to $1,000. However, almost all citations are within the $50 to $200 forfeiture range. The state mandates we add a cost to your forfeiture. For example, a $50 forfeiture will result in a total fine of $124. I'll grant you 30 days to pay the forfeiture. If you need additional time, please let me know, and we can arrange a payment plan. If you don't pay within the 30 days, I have limited options to collect. We can collect from state collection services. I can suspend your driver's license for a year. I'd rather not do that. If you need additional time, just let me know and we can work out a payment plan. If you enter a not guilty plea, we'll schedule this case over to the next court session for a pretrial conference. They're currently held over the phone. Pretrial conference will be on April 5th, 2023. With time both you and the city attorney meet over the phone to discuss your case. If you're unable to reach a resolution, then the case is set for a trial in front of me. If you're able to resolve the situation, the city attorney will report the details to me. Those of you facing traffic offenses should understand that you will lose demerit points upon conviction of most moving traffic violations. If you lose 12 or more points in any 1 year or period, you lose your license to drive in Wisconsin for a period of time. You'll also be fined. I'd like you to be aware of some of your rights before you enter a plea. You have a right to ask for a continuance. This means that you can request your case be set over to another time, either to consult with an attorney or for some other reason. You also have a right to a trial. Please remember your rights when considering your plea. Those of you charged with an operating motor vehicle while under the influence of an intoxicant are entitled to request a jury trial in the circuit court upon payment of proper fees. If you do not request a jury trial within 10 days of the initial appearance, that you will forever waive your right to a jury trial for an OWI first case. All other cases will be handled this court with the right to appeal my ruling to circuit court. At this time, that concludes my opening remarks. And the first defendant is William Getzky. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did, sir.
Okay. Do I have your correct address on King Street in Stoughton?
304 King Street, apartment number 6.
Yep, that's what I have on my record.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, you are facing 2 citations. The first one is operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of an intoxicant. It's commonly known as OWI, or drunk driving. The penalties on this citation are as follows. It's a forfeiture of $861. Now, the forfeiture range on this is between $150 and $300. The state mandates that we add costs and a $355 assessment fee to that. So the forfeiture range is usually from $700 to about $1,000. So you're about in the middle of the forfeiture range. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In addition to that, your if you're found guilty, your driver's license will be revoked between 6 and 9 months. Now, I use a certain chart. The chart that I use would be if you have a 1.5 or lower, it's 6 months. Between a 1.5 and 2, it's 7 months. If you're above a 0.2, it's 8. And if there's any bad driving, I usually add a month. That's usually the guidelines that I follow. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In addition, if you're found guilty, you have to attend an alcohol and drug assessment class, and 6 demerit points will be issued your driver's license. Okay. If you're above a .15, the state mandates that I order an interlock ignition device be installed in all vehicles registered in your name for a period of 12 months, and that whenever you're driving operating a motor vehicle within the next 12 months, you must have an IID installed. You understand that as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And if you had a prior one, say, Wisconsin, it's odd that it's still considered a first if you haven't had one, even if you have a prior that's more than 10 years old. So if you had a prior that's even more than 10 years old, I still must order an interlock ignition device for that 1 year period. You understand that as well?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay. Now, is this a blood draw? Okay. Okay, so those are the penalties for the OWI. Now, you received a companion ticket. In addition to if I order an interlock ignition device, there's a surcharge of $50 added to the fines. Thanks. So those are the penalties for the operating motor vehicle while under the influence. Now, you received a second citation for operating with a prohibited alcohol concentration. Wisconsin, for a first offense, the blood alcohol content is .08. So this basic citation says that you were operating a motor vehicle while under the influence, operating a motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol concentration of .08 or higher. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, I do,
okay.
sir.
The OWI, I should mention that it's you're operating a motor vehicle under the influence of an intoxicant upon premises held up for the public use or a highway upon the state of Wisconsin. You understand that, elements?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you understand the difference between while intoxicating and prohibited alcohol concentration?
Yes, I
They
do.
make these kind of complicated, so there's a lot of rules to go through. So,
No, I understand you.
all right, the next one, so you've received a second citation for prohibited alcohol concentration. Again, it's $861, 6 to 9 months, alcohol and drug assessment, 6 points, and a potential for an IID. You understand all that as well?
Yes,
all right.
I do.
Now, this is the tricky part, or one of the tricky parts. You received 2 citations, but I can only impose the penalties on one. So that means even though you received 2 citations for the same amount, that I can only fine you once, and I only can impose one.
Yeah, I had the paperwork for both, so
Okay, okay, good. So you understand that as well.
Well, I do now, so
All right,
thanks.
all right, all right. The idea being is that if you were to take this to trial, that you would have to, defeat the elements on both citations. Okay.
I wouldn't.
Any questions that you have for me?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Now is the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options would be guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
Okay. You understand with a no contest plea, I'll review the police report, and if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I do.
All right. Well, I don't want anybody changing their mind after they...
Oh, no, I understand.
All right. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure there's a factual basis for your no contest plea.
Yes, absolutely.
And these police reports can get kind of lengthy, so... represent this. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. You do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on the sentence?
It's all I can say is that it's my first traffic offense that I've ever had. So I just I've been really depressed being unemployed lately. So I kind of like drive around just like thinking, but apparently I was doing the wrong thing that night,
Okay.
And I guess that's all I can say, sir.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to make the following findings. I'm going to find that your blood alcohol content was a .36. It's obviously above the .15, so I'm going to order an interlock ignition device be installed in all vehicles registered in your name and for a driving period of 1 year. Now, you can't sit that out. You can't wait a year and then try and just say, okay, I've got it. So we'll give you information on how to have an occupational license, or if you want to wait, actually, and I'll make the finding that I'm going to revoke your license for 8 months. And that's based upon the blood alcohol content. Now, the police report indicated you were in a snowbank, but I don't have any evidence of any bad driving. So I'm going to say, because of .2, I'm going to limit it to 8 months. I do find the $861 to be appropriate. The court, I'll order that you attend an alcohol and drug assessment, and 6 demerit points will be issued your license. I'll surcharge you the $50 for the IID. So the total penalty would be $911. Do you need time to pay?
Yes, sir.
How much time do you need to pay?
Well, I'm still trying to find a job right now, so it could be more than 60 days.
Okay, why don't we say 6 months? I'll give you 6 months to pay, and if you need more time after that, just let us know. And then you can call the court number and schedule a hearing to ask for more time.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
Now, like I said, you can't wait it out, so this would the year period would start when you either get your regular license back or when you apply for an occupational license then.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, just as long as you have the paperwork for me.
Yep, I do.
Yep.
I'll sign the penalties on the OWI. Found you guilty, PAC, but I'm not going to impose any penalties. I believe I've covered everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a court order for IID and a offense assessment and driver safety plan. I'm going to sign both of them.
Okay.
You have to sign one of them. There's a number that you have to call
I
within
need to
72
approach
hours.
I'm
sorry?
Do I need to approach?
No, I'm going to give these documents to the
Okay.
bailiff.
All
then.
right.
If you could sign both and then give one back to the bailiff and keep the other one. There's a number on here that you have to call within
Yeah,
72 hours.
absolutely. No problem.
Okay. Okay, great. And I've got judgment and order and assessments, interlock ignition device court order, more information on the IED and the interlock ignition referral form, and frequently asked questions. So sign both and give one back to me. The bailiff will gather the rest of the documents. And once you sign that,
All right, thanks, man.
I will have a few questions for you.
Yeah, no problem. Let's do the 15. That's for him.
Yeah?
Oh, my bad. I thought you were waiting for another one, dude.
We have to add the $50, so we're going to give you a couple more of the yellow ones. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So while she's doing that, so what did you learn?
Not to do it again, that's for sure.
I'm a little alarmed at the high blood alcohol content.
Yeah,
Times-
well, I've been kind of like that over the years, so I don't even know why I was out there doing that, like stay in your apartment or stay at home, you know what I'm saying?
Right. But even so, that's a high enough where a lot of times people might have been hospitalized at the level. So just I'm a little concerned about your tolerance.
Thanks.
And so there's a corrected fine. So I just ask that you please be careful in the future then. So,
All right, thank you, Judge.
all right, thank you.
All right, have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Richard Bordall? Bjordal? How do you say it?
Bjordal.
Bjordal.
Yeah.
I was close then. Not quite right, though. Okay, do I have your correct address on 7th Street in Stoughton?
Yes,
Okay, you've been cited for operating while revoked. Do you understand what operating while revoked is?
yes.
This citation carries penalty at 3 points and $124. Let's see, so the forfeiture range on this, you're at $50 plus cost currently, and I believe that the forfeiture range is 0 to like $1,000. Actually, 1B, 0 to 2,500. So you're not at the minimum range, but you're on the low end of the scale. You understand that as well?
Yes.
All right. Any questions for me?
No.
Now, were you able to obtain a valid driver's license?
Yeah. Like 2 days after this, my ticket, I went to the DMV and got it.
Okay.
So,
You wanna, Bill, you wanna?
Yeah.
Did you bring proof of that
yeah,
you obtained it? Okay.
I got it in my wallet. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. No, Officer, what's his name? Officer Poole just deeply suggested to get it ASAP and then also to come here and talk to you
Okay.
about this.
He's gonna verify that for me.
Okay,
So.
sweet.
You didn't bring any type of written proof, it's just that you had the
No,
license plate.
it's the actual mailed ID. I mean, in my vehicle, I have the printout.
Okay, but it'd be the same thing as
Yeah,
what you had, then,
that's,
so.
the printout's just the license, but that's what got mailed to me,
Okay,
is the actual
so that's all the
license.
written proof that you would have then, so, okay.
Yeah, I didn't get anything else other than what they printed at the DMV, plus that getting mailed in.
Okay.
But I did that, I think, 2 days after I got my ticket.
Okay. While that gets pulled up, if you want to have a seat, I'm going to get to the next cases. And sorry about
It's all
that.
right.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, just have a seat, and we'll be right with you then. Okay. Hunter Del Soren? Mr. Del Soren, did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
All right. Do I have your correct address on Main Street in Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You received 2 citations. One is for automobile following too closely. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what automobile following too closely is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you don't need me to review the statutes with you? You don't need me to review the elements with you? Okay. The forfeiture range on this is as follows. It is $30 to $300. You're at $50 plus cost. You're on the low end of the scale. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
All right, you received a second citation for unsafe passing on the right. That citation carries a penalty of $155.50 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what unsafe passing on the right is?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, that forfeiture is, it's unusual amount, it's $75 plus costs. The forfeiture range on this citation is, when I mean the forfeiture range, that's how much, the lowest price and the highest price of the fines that I can issue. It's under 346.08. It's $30 to $300 as well. So, do you have a probationary license?
I do.
Okay, so that means both point totals will double. So, and it's such that when these citations are written, I cannot amend one or dismiss one. I can always amend, or I can raise or lower the fine, but I can't do anything with the citations. My suggestion would be that you enter a not guilty plea and have an opportunity to discuss this with the prosecutor at a pretrial conference. Is that what you want to do?
Would that mean 12 points?
No, that means you're not been found guilty of anything. So yes, the way this would work would be, have you received any type of citations before?
No.
Okay, so the first one would be 3 points. The second one would be 3, which would double to 6. That would be a total of 9. And if you enter a not guilty plea, you haven't been found guilty of anything. So those are kind of frozen. They haven't been determined yet. So that would be my suggestion, is that you enter a not guilty plea and have a pretrial conference with the prosecutor then.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you want to do? If you want to consult him, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll enter a not guilty plea. That will give you the opportunity to discuss with the prosecutor and see if you can get, if you can get any of these citations amended or revised. Now, I'm going to give you notice in just a minute. The notice of the pretrial conference will be April 5th. Make sure that you call in the prosecutor at that day, because if you don't, the prosecutor will tell me that you didn't call in. I'll find you default, and I'll find you guilty of both citations. So just make sure that you call in. And it's a chance to tell your side of the story, so mention whatever witnesses or documents might help your case as well. Okay. So I'll give you that notice in just a minute, and once you receive that notice, that will take care of it for this evening then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll recall the case. We'll recall the case of Richard Bjordahl. Okay. From what we could determine, it looks like you're valid with an occupational then. So, but it appears as you were operating while revoked at the time.
Yes.
So normally what I do with these, without anything in addition, is that instead of operating while revoked, you can amend that with the prosecutor. The prosecutor's going to be permission to do that, to no driver's license on person, which would be 0 points instead of 3, same
That's
forfeiture
awesome.
amount. Okay, is that what you want to accept that?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so I've explained this to you, so it would be 343-18, as if that you didn't have your license on you, you left it at home.
That's awesome.
All right, so what is your plea to the amended citation of operating without a driver's license on person?
No contest.
Okay. You understand with no contest plea, if there's sufficient evidence, I'll find you guilty? All right. You're nodding your head, so I assume that's a yes?
Yes.
All right. We're on record, so
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
has to be spoken.
Verbal.
So, yeah,
Understood.
exactly. Let me take a look at the police report for factual basis. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis. I'll accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of no driver's license on person, contrary to 34318, which should be 0 points instead of 3, same forfeiture of $124. Now, do you need time to pay that?
I can pay it
Okay,
today
I'll
even, or
I'll give you
whatever.
30 days, but I'll give you the receipt on which you can take it to the dispatch window then, so.
And that's all downstairs, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. I'll get my checkbook and come right back.
Okay. You don't have to come back here, you can just turn it in there, so.
Okay, yeah, understood, yeah.
All right, once you receive the yellow sheets of paper, that will take care of this evening, and you're free to go.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you. Justin Lee? Did I say your name correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lee, do I have your correct address in Keenan Lane in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for speeding, exceeding speed limit zones 16 to 19 miles an hour over the limit. Do you understand what speeding 16 to 19 miles an hour over the limit is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, for speeding, there's the forfeiture on this is $124 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you have a probationary license?
I have a actual license.
Okay, so you've had a license for more than 3 years. The reason why I asked is probationary license, on the second citation, the points double. But you have a regular driver's license, you've told me.
I should.
Are you
double check
19
for
or
you.
over?
I am, yes.
Okay, then, I can check.
Yes, I have a regular driver's license, Your Honor.
Yep, okay. All right, so there's 3 tiers of speeding. There's speeding excessive, which is 20-plus miles an hour. That's 6 points. There's speeding intermediate between between 11 and 19, which is 4 points. And there's speeding 1 to 10, which is 3 points. My policy, and we worked this out with the prosecutor's office, is that I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. So if you were enter a not guilty plea and see the prosecutor, they would likely make the same offer. So instead of 11 to 19 over, or 16 to 19 over, what I would do is I would amend this to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. I keep the forfeiture the same at $124.
Okay.
You understand that?
Yes.
All right. You understand my procedures for speeding?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Any procedural questions for me?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty to speeding 1 to 10 over the limit.
No contest, please.
You don't understand with a no contest plea, if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay. I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. Accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of 1 to 10 miles an hour over the limit. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
No, Your Honor.
All right. I do find the $124 to be appropriate, and I'll fine you the same. How much time do you need to pay?
I don't need any time.
I'll give you 30 days. I'll give you the yellow sheet, which counts as a receipt. You can take that downstairs to the dispatch window and pay immediately if you like.
Okay, sounds
Okay?
good, Your
And
Honor.
once you receive that, your part of the hearing is over, and that will take care of it then.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Benjamin Reinecke. Mr. Reinecke, do I have your correct address at Page Street in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
Your Honor.
You also received a speeding on city highway citation. This was for 20 to 24 over the limit. You understand what speeding on a city highway is, 20 to 24 over the limit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, this citation carries a penalty of 6 points and a total forfeiture of $149.20. The forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're at the $70 plus cost range. So not quite in the middle, but rather in the lower end. You understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
My policy is that if you, I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. Right now, you're at a 6-point violation. What I can do, I worked out an agreement with the prosecutor's office that they would usually likely offer the same offer, that instead of 20 over, it would be 11 and 19 over, which would be 4 points instead of 6, and usually I keep the same forfeiture. You understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Any procedural questions for me?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. What is your plea to speeding 11 and 19 over?
No contest, Your Honor.
You understand with a no contest plea, if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of 11 and 19 over the limit, which would be 4 points. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a fine amount?
I just wanted to say that I'm a caretaker for my father.
Okay.
And directly before the ticket, I'd gotten a phone call from him saying that he needed me to come out and help provide care for him.
Okay.
And it wasn't an emergency, but it was urgent. And that's why I wasn't intentionally going fast, but I didn't realize how fast I was going.
Okay.
And I realized that was not safe.
Right. I understand the circumstances. Because of that, I'll reduce the forfeiture to $124.
I appreciate that. And thank you for reducing the points. That was my main concern coming
Okay.
in, was the points.
For the $124, how much time do you need to pay?
30 days, sir.
Okay. I'll give you 30 days. I'll give you the receipt with that, and then you can just mail in payment. Make sure that you mail in payment within the 30 days, because if you don't, I can suspend your driver's license for a year. I can enter your state the fine amount to tax collections. I'd rather not do that. So
I appreciate
need
that.
more time than that, just let us know.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And once you receive the receipt, then you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Riley Monty. Mr. Monty, do I have a correct address in Taylor Lane in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right. You have 3 citations. Cover the first one. First one is hit and run property adjacent to highway. This citation carries a penalty of 0 points, but $187. It's $100 plus costs. Do you understand what hit and run a property adjacent to highway is?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, the forfeiture range on this is as follows. 346.69. 0 to $200. So you're in the midway point of the forfeiture range. You understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, you see 2 other citations. The first one is for operating while under the influence of an intoxicant. Now, operating while under the influence, actually, I should just say operating while under the influence. This is mostly known as drunk driving, and there's a variety of penalties for this. The penalties are as follows. There's a total forfeiture of $861. Forfeiture range on this is $150 to $300. There's also added costs on, as well as an assessment cost of like $355. The forfeiture range to you is actually between $700 and $1,000. So you're kind of in the middle of that. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, your driver's license, if you're found guilty, the driver's license revocation period is a period between 6 and 9 months. Okay, for 6 to 9 months, I have a scale that I use. If you're a 1.5 or lower, it's 6 months. If you're 1.5 to 1.9, it's 7. If you're above a 0.2, it's 8. And if there's any bad driving, I add a month. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. If you're found guilty, I also have to order that you attend an alcohol and drug assessment class, as well as 6 points. Understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, if you're above a 1.5, a blood alcohol content is a 1.15 or higher, that means is that I have to order an interlock ignition device be installed on all vehicles registered in your name for a period of 12 months. In addition, I also will issue your driver's license and have a restriction that you also have to have an IID on any vehicle that you drive for a period of 12 months. Now, and I surcharge you $50 for that as well. And it's not something you can sit out. You can't say, oh, I'm going to wait a year and then drive again. It has to be imposed when you first order either an occupational license or your regular driver's license. You understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, so that's now, even if you received one more than 10 years ago and this is the first offense, then I have to order an IID. Understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, You received a third citation for operating while with a prohibited alcohol concentration. Wisconsin, for first offense, is .08. This citation is alleging that you were above that limit as opposed to operating while under the influence. That means that you're operating a motor vehicle while impaired upon premises held up for the public use or a public highway. You understand the difference between the citations?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, now, I can impose the 861, 69-month driver's license, alcohol and drug assessment points, and the ID on either citation. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
But I can't impose them on both. So in other words, you're not facing the 861 twice, you're just facing that once. You understand that as
Yes,
well?
Your Honor.
Okay. So I've gone through the hit and run, the OWI, the PAC citations. Do you have any procedural questions for me?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now is the time I take your plea. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest, Your
You
Honor.
understand with no contest plea, if there is a factual basis, I must find you guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Now, these police reports can be lengthy, so it might take me a few minutes to read this. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea, and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
I haven't drank since the day of the incident, and I'm just hoping I never have to stand before you again, Your Honor.
Okay, well, if you get caught in the next 10 years, it won't be before me. It'll be before a Dane County, or, circuit court judge, and it'll be mandatory jail time, just so you're aware of that. Okay, I'll make the following findings. I'll find that your blood alcohol content was a .14. I'll find that there was bad driving for that, so I'm going to issue a 7-month revocation period, but no IID. All right, so I find the $861 forfeiture to be appropriate. You have to attend alcohol and drug assessment classes, and 6 points will be issued your driver's license. I do find the hit and run to be appropriately cited, and I find the fine amount of $187 to be not unreasonable. So the total forfeiture will be the $861, and then the, what did I say, $187. There's a calculator. How much time do you need to pay that amount?
60 days, Your Honor,
Okay.
2 months.
I'll grant 60 days to pay for that. Total forfeiture will be $1,054. Okay, fine. Okay, that'll cover. So we're completing, are these they?
Yes.
Okay, do we have, so I'm going to have some documents to the bailiff. I'm going to give you what's called court order for IID assessment. I'm going to sign both of these. Sign both, and then you keep one and I keep one. And basically, you have to attend an alcohol and drug assessment, and you have to sign up within 72 hours of today's date. So just make sure that you sign for that. I also give you your various documents. One is including an occupational license, what needs to get it back. Other documents to explain an IID, or actually you don't have to have an IID, just
The alcohol
what the
program,
assessment
Your
was like and other information on drunk driving. So I'll give that to you in a minute. Oh, and in addition to the hit and run. So three yellow sheets, which are basically a receipt of the citation. Okay. You want to have him sign both and return one to me? Oh, I'm sorry, Bail.
Honor.
Sorry, I should have given you this too. Here's the information on the assessment.
I sign those? Just this here? The 15th, the 3rd one. Is that all you need from me, Your Honor?
Couple questions for you. What did you learn?
That was the biggest mistake I've ever made. Yeah. It ain't gonna happen again.
Okay, but according to the police report, you had formed kind of a habit. You said you haven't drank since then, but
I haven't. I actually made a $1,000 bet with one of my friends to not drink for a year,
Okay,
and I haven't. Just
okay. Because what I read in the police report was pretty alarming about the speed that you were going and so forth. I mean, I'll stick, I'll stick to the standards, but the amount of alcohol you consumed and then the hit and run could have been a lot worse. Probably should have been
very
worse, but
ignorant
you're,
mistake, yes.
yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that you don't put other people in danger going forward. So, and then if you do get caught again in the next 10 years, there will be a criminal charge and mandatory jail time. So keep that in mind as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that takes care of it for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicholas Myers? Okay, all right. Mr. Myers, do I have your correct address on Main Street in Stoughton?
No, it's in Edgerton.
Oh,
It's 417 South Main Street, Edgerton,
I
Wisconsin.
just assumed it was Stoughton, so my apologies. We do have that for your record then, so. Okay, you received 2 citations. Let me find the mouse, there it is. First citation is operating left of center. Let me find this is the Town of Dunkirk citations. Just a moment. I'm sorry, they're using a new form, They changed it up. I mean, there it is. Operating left of center. This citation carries a penalty of $136.60 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. $136.60 is $60 fine plus costs. And the forfeiture range on this, what that means is that it can go higher or lower. I can go higher or lower on that citation, but there are limits that, on the amount of forfeiture I can impose. Forfeiture is $30 to $300. So you're at $60 plus cost. You're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand what operating left of center is? Do you want me to read the statute to you? Would that help clarify it, or?
Could you please? Yeah.
Yes. So it's the town of Dunkirk. It's 9.01 sub 1, which adopted statute 34605 sub 1, which states as follows. I should just went to the front of the page. All right. 34605 sub 1 says, vehicles to be driven on the right side of the roadway, exceptions. Number 1 says, upon all roadways of sufficient width, the operator of a vehicle shall drive on the right half side of the roadway and in the right-hand lane of the 3-lane highway, except when making an approach for a left turn or U-turn, under circumstances in which the rules relating to U-turns require driving on the left side of the roadway. B, when overtaking and passing under circumstances in which the rules relating to overtaking or passing permit or require driving on the left-hand driveway. C, when the right hand of the roadway is closed to traffic while under construction. Or D, while overtaking and passing pedestrians, animals, or obstructions on the right half of the roadway. Or D, actually that was the E, while driving in a particular lane in accordance with signs or pavements marked for deviating from said traffic. F, when the roadway has been designated and posted for one-way traffic. G, if the vehicle is a wide implement of a husbandry, or in other words, to get around tractors, and that's it. So basically, the statute says you have to drive on the right-hand side of the driveway unless one of those exceptions apply. Does that help your clarification?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, okay, so we reviewed any procedural questions regarding the operating left of center?
No, Your Honor.
All right. The other citation you received is I think that's a duplicate citation. Yeah, they gave me two of those. Okay. Then it was improper display of license plate, tag, or decal. This citation carries a penalty of $73.60 and 0 points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what improper display of license plate, tag, or decal is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, that forfeiture is $73.60, which is $10 plus costs. Forfeiture range on this is going to be like 0 to 100. Let me check to make sure I'm right. $341,153A. Yep, 0 to $200. So you're not at the minimum, but you're fairly close. You understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Any procedural questions regarding the second citation?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, now is the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Okay. With a not guilty plea, we're going to schedule this matter for pretrial conference with the city attorney. Now, thank you, the town attorney. Now, the town attorney is relatively new, and they haven't established procedures with this court. So what this court is going to do is we're going to call the city attorney, find out what days they're available for a pretrial conference, and then send you correspondence to your address. So that will be at 417 South Main Street in Edgerton, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Is that over the phone too, or is there ways that I can bring in or send documentation?
What I would do is that once you will tell you who the city attorney is and their physical address, town attorney, thank you, their physical address, and then you can send in documentation to that attorney. That way, when you have the pretrial conference, you can say, here's what I sent you, and here's why I believe I'm not guilty.
Okay, thank you.
Does that satisfy your requirements then?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we'll send you notice of that, so pay attention to the mail. You're going to mail it within a week?
Yeah,
If you haven't gotten anything in 2 weeks, there'll be, you've gotten the number on the citation for this court, just call that number and we'll be able to advise as of the status of the pretrial conference.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, since we don't have anything to give you, that we'll take care of it for this evening then.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming in. Where's 8? Rebecca Roach? Did I say your name correctly?
Yeah.
Roach? Do I have your correct address in 4th Street in Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You received 2 citations. One is for operating while suspended. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this is 0 to 1,000. You're at $50 plus cost. So you're not quite at the minimum, but the low end of the scale. You understand that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that yes? Do you understand the elements for operating while suspended?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any procedural questions regarding that citation?
No.
Second citation is operating after revocation or suspension of registration. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 0 demerit points issued your driver's license. That's $30 plus costs. Forfeiture range on this is like $0 to $500. You understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. Any procedural questions for me on this citation?
No.
All right. And you understand what operating after revocation or suspension of registration is?
Yes.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
Okay. Before we get into that, do you have valid registration?
Yep, I fixed everything, my license, my registration, and I have insurance now.
Okay.
Since this happened.
Okay. How soon after you were pulled over did you get everything squared away?
Well, I had to pay, I got in an accident.
Okay.
I was driving with no
Not with
insurance.
this, prior to this incident,
This is
right?
prior, yep, this was last year.
Okay.
2022. And I didn't take care of it. So then they sued me. I had to pay $1,500 for the judgment.
Okay.
So I did that afterwards. I had to take a right-of-way course, and then I had to pay all the fees to reinstate those things.
Okay.
So since then, yes, in the past couple weeks, I've gotten all of those things done.
Do you want to hand what you received the bailiff?
I also had to get SR22 insurance, and I did that as well.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm paying attention. Bifocals, okay. Okay, so this was issued on the March 13th of this date,
Monday, yep, I went to the DMV on Monday.
and then the registration was Monday as well.
Yep.
Okay, so you're good for 2 months, and then this
Yeah,
is,
until
just shows
May.
proof of insurance. Not really an issue, you weren't cited, at least in this court, for operating, okay.
No, I wasn't, but I did take care of that.
Okay. So, there are 2 options that you can utilize. So, tonight, for the operating after registration, suspension registration, I can dismiss that citation because you showed me proof. That's
Thank
our
you.
goal, is to get you registered. Now,
Thank
the
you.
operating after suspension, even though you took care of it, you were still suspended at the time. You can always enter a not guilty plea and discuss this with the city attorney. What I can do tonight is that since you brought your vehicle or your license, you're now valid. I typically amend these to no driver's license on person, contrary to 34318 sub 1. It would be 0 points, but the same forfeiture of $124. So you can get over with tonight and pay $124, or you can enter a not guilty plea and talk, if you want to talk to the city prosecutor about it.
No, I'll take the 0 points,
Okay.
124.
So let me say it. So just to confirm, you'll plead no contest to operating while suspended?
Yes.
All right. You understand the no contest plea? If there's a factual basis for your plea, I must find you guilty?
Yep.
All right, let me review the police report just to make sure that
Okay.
that everything's squared away. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis, except Ms. Roach's no contest plea to no driver's license on person. That means you left it at home. 34318 sub 1 is the statute number. 0 points. 34318 sub 1, and then $124. And the court, on its own motion, upon proof of the registration, is going to dismiss that citation. For the $124, Ms. Roach, how much time do you need to pay?
30 days would be
Okay,
fine.
I'll give you 30 days with the receipt for that citation. You can mail in payment to the address listed on the receipt then. So.
Okay.
Now, I threw a lot at my my assistant then, so it's going to take her a minute to print
Okay,
everything.
that's okay.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that will take care of it this evening.
Okay,
Unless
thank
you want
you.
to tell me anything else.
No, no, I'm
All right,
good.
sounds
Have a good night.
All right, thank you. Teresa Ives? Evening, Ms. Ives.
Hello.
I saw that. Do I have your correct address on Sunt Lane in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway, 11 to 15 miles an hour over the limit. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes.
Basically that you exceeded the posted speed limits and according to the sign, and that you're on the driveway or highway in the city or state of Wisconsin.
Yes.
Okay. And you understand that the level that you've been cited for is 11 to 15 over the limit?
Yes.
Okay, that results in 4 points and a total forfeiture of $98.80. That's $30 plus costs. Now, the minimum forfeiture is $30 and the maximum is $300. You're actually at the minimum forfeiture as well. What I do for these speeding citations, there's 3 levels of speeding. There's speeding excessive, which is 20 plus and 6 points. There's speeding intermediate, which is between 11 and 19, which is 4 points. And there's simple speeding at 1 to 10 over. That is 3 points. What I typically do for these speeding citations is give drivers a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. So instead of 11 to 19 over the limit, what I would do is I would reduce this to 1 to 10. The idea being, if you enter not guilty plea, spoke to the prosecutor, they would likely make the same offer that I've done that today. It's an agreement that the city prosecutors and I have reached, that instead of, we save time by allowing me to have a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. So you've already paid the forfeiture, I've noticed, so I don't have to ask you about payment information, but I usually issue 10-mile-an-hour leeway as well. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Sorry,
Thank
I threw a
you.
lot at you then. Any procedural questions for me?
No. I
Okay.
guess not.
So now is the time I take your plea. What would your plea be? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty to speeding, 1 to 10 over the limit?
No contest.
Do you understand with a no contest plea, if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty?
Yes.
To prevent people from later retracting their pleas if they don't like what I have to say afterwards.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll find you guilty of speeding, 1 to 10 over the limit. I'll note for the record that you've already paid the forfeiture, so I'll just forfeit the bond and apply it towards the citation and consider it paid in full. Anything else you'd like to tell the court?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Can I ask it?
absolutely.
Okay, so like when multiple vehicles are pulled over or are on the side and a police officer comes from behind, how do you know which car they're citing? Because there were multiple vehicles pulled over and one got waived and I ended up getting cited.
It's bad fortune on your part. So usually they identified your vehicle in the police report. I don't know how, but I mean, that would be based upon the testimony of the officer if they wanted to challenge it then. But usually what happens is, I don't know, it's up to the officer's discretion if there's a series of cars, which one gets pulled over, which not. I haven't really looked at it for a while. I don't know if it's the car in front that gets ticketed more often, the car in the back, or one in the middle. I don't know.
Okay. I just kind of feel like I wasn't speeding.
I know, but that's why I gave
So-
you a 10-mile-an-hour leeway as well, built in.
I
for as
appreciate
well.
that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So what is the points?
3.
It's 3, not 4?
Yep, correct. I reduced it to 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you got the minimum amount.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay.
Most traffic violations, mostly the minimum is 3 points.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I
All right.
appreciate that.
They'll take care of it this evening. Thank you for coming in. Yep. Patricia Prevo?
Awesome, thank you.
Ms. Prevo, do I have your correct address on Bonnie Lane in Stoughton?
Correct.
All right. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway 16 to 19 miles an hour over limit. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes, sir.
All right. You understand the limit of 16 to 19 over?
Yes, sir.
All right. You don't need me to read the elements of speeding?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, there are 3 levels of speeding. Speeding excessive, 20 plus, is 6 points. 11 and 19 is 4, and then speeding 1 to 10 is 3. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Now, I typically give a 10 mile an hour leeway. In this citation, instead of 16 to 19, I'd be willing to have you enter a plea to speeding 1 to 10 over the limit, which would be 3 points instead of 4. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're at $50 plus costs. Now, I'll note for the record, you were here for a prior defendant who received a speeding citation 11 to 15. Her fine was $98.80. When you're 15 and plus, it goes from $30 plus cost to $50 plus cost. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any procedural questions you have for me?
No, sir.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options of speeding, 1 to 10 over, 3 points, would be guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
You understand with the no contest plea, if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. This one's a little more complicated than the previous one, so. Okay. I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept or no contest plea, and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
No, sir.
Okay. I do find the $124 forfeiture to be appropriate, and I'll issue that fine to 1 to 10 over, be 3 points, 124. How much time do you need to pay?
30 days.
Okay, I'll grant 30 days. I'll give you a receipt for that amount. You can just take it and mail it in within 30 days. Make sure that you pay, because otherwise I have to suspend your driver's license for a year, intercept your taxes, and so I'd rather not do that. So
Yeah.
either mail it in 30 days. If you need additional time, call and ask for a hearing, and we can schedule a hearing. And I don't have any problem issuing more time, but I usually have to have the prosecutor weigh in as well.
Okay, thank you. Is
And
it
one-
open now?
What's that?
Can I pay today?
Yeah, you can go downstairs and just pay it at the dispatch window if you'd like. So.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you, sir.
That takes care of this evening. Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
I don't know if they, I have to check with the control room, they're in charge of that. The attorney is Isaac Brodke.
Okay,
His attorney, but
let's take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll, if you want to check to see if there's anybody there. Well, and if not, we can default the people that didn't show for initial appearances, and then Oh, Zoom? Yeah. Okay. The prosecutor's there, but the defendant is not.
I don't, oh really, did they tell you that?
John told me that.
Okay.
So,
It's more
no, I
than know.
was watching, I was staying in there, so.
That's good.
Should I go get, you wanna go get John and just say, do you have access to Zoom?
They, Andrew in the control booth will bring him up on the screen.
It's a default judgment. Jesse Boley is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Gauthier Bopilo is a default judgment. Jody Klein is a default judgment. Chano Coleman is a default judgment. Stephen Comstock is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Candace Deck is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Kyle Daubert is a default judgment. Korean Donaldson is a default judgment. David Druckenbrod is a bond forfeiture. Carissa Eckelberg is a bond forfeiture. Jacob Eden is a default judgment. Christopher Elliott is a default judgment. Bruno Espazandin Lima is a default judgment. Yadira Espinoza Campa is a default judgment. Maya Falkenstein is a bond forfeiture. Sergio Garcia Dominguez is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Jack Garcia is a default judgment. Trevor Garrett is a bond forfeiture. John Perez is a default judgment on both citations. Sylvester Gutierrez is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Sadie Hackett is a default judgment. Ty Hewitt is a default judgment. Hallie Husted is a default judgment. Sal Nicholas Hutchinson is a bond forfeiture. And I'm going to pause there. Let me see what the status of the Zoom conference is. Okay, we'll pause the initial appearances at this time. Court will call the case of City of Stoughton versus Elijah Zachary Simonson. Believe that we're conducting this via Zoom trial. WSTO or TSO? WSTO is handling the audio for this, and they're also handling the Zoom information. They told me they're going to put the information on the screen in just a minute. I'll note for the record that the screens are still just basically focusing messages, but I've been told that we have audio only. Can you state your appearances for the record, please?
Good evening, Your Honor. Isaac Brodke on behalf of the City of Stoughton.
Okay, and I'll note for the record that Mr. Brodke is appearing via Zoom. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Elijah Zachary Simonson. One more time, or Elijah Zachary Simonson. Elijah Zachary Seamanson. I'll note for the record that I have 3 police officers in the room, my clerk and I, no other appearances. I've called out the defendant's name 3 times. According to the court clock, it is 6:20. The trial was scheduled for 6 p.m. I'll find the defendant is not present in the courtroom and not present in Zoom. Mr. Broadkey, have you had any contact with the defendant?
No, Your Honor. The last contact I had with the defendant would be when I spoke to his counsel in an unrelated matter, I believe sometime in January.
Okay.
But since then, I have had no contact.
Now, you said as a counsel, is the defendant represented by an attorney for this hearing?
No, he is not, Your Honor.
Okay, so
excuse me, Your Honor, as far as I understand, he is
okay.
not.
We don't have any, we have no record of a filed attorney, so he's appearing pro se. Okay, like I said, I'll note for 6:20, it's now 6:21. Normally I give defendant 15-minute leeway. Have not seen anybody other than my initial appearances in the court time. The court will find that the defendant is in default, and then the court will adjudicate him as guilty of disorderly conduct. Mr. Broadkey, does the city have a recommendation for the forfeiture amount?
Yes, Your Honor. The city recommends a forfeiture of $124.
Okay. Like, as stated, I found the defendant default. Upon the non-appearance, I find the defendant guilty and impose a forfeiture of $124 with 30 days to pay. Anything else from the city's end, Mr. Broadkey?
No, Your Honor.
You asked him to add his opinion on this.
Oh, okay, thank you. And so that matter is concluded. Mr. Broadkey, before you leave, I wanted to I wanted your input on a motion to reopen. The defendant issued a reopening for citations back from, it's a 3-year citation, isn't it?
Right.
Back from 2019, was hit and run. What happened was the defendant accepted the plea agreement, but then found out he could not obtain a job through Uber and asked to reopen. What's the city's position on a motion to reopen on a case that's 3 years old?
Your Honor, is the city's position that we should respect the finality of the judgment and the agreement struck between the city and the defendant at the time of the judgment.
Okay.
Given that this is 3 years, on behalf of the city, do not see that we should give leeway here.
All right. So the pretrial date, I will note will be December 2nd, 2020. Does that change your opinion at all?
No, it does not, Your Honor.
Okay. So the defendant filed the motion to reopen at pretrial, took a job with Uber, et cetera. However, because the defendant indicated probably didn't know the consequences, I am going to grant the motion to reorder and schedule this matter for pretrial conference. And I'll sign that order accordingly. I'll order that pretrial conference take place, and I'll send you the corresponding paperwork, Mr. Broadkey.
Understood. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else? No. All right. That will conclude the Zoom portion of our hearing. Thank you, Mr. Broadkey, for appearing.
Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, officers. Okay, we'll continue with the initial appearances. Tyrick Johnson is a default judgment. Callacy is a default judgment. Dita Colomb is a default judgment. Randall Kennedy is a bond forfeiture. Ethan Cloudis is a default judgment. Brandon Cron is a default judgment. Tina Lipsky is a default judgment. Stephanie Lund is a default judgment. Aiden Maves is a default judgment. Cody Maynard is a bond forfeiture. Amanda Miller is a default judgment. Bambi Mitchell is a default judgment. Philip Nemensky is a default judgment. Tanya Niemi is a default judgment. Brian Olson is a default judgment. Jay Olson is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Bajram Paloja is a bond forfeiture. Shelterior Peoples is a default judgment. Isabella Pelagio is a default judgment. Allison Peralt is a default judgment on both citations. Colin Fluger is a bond forfeiture. Caitlin Popodi is a default judgment on both citations. Joshua Reeves is a default judgment on both citations. Mary Ripp is a bond forfeiture. Jody Risden is a bond forfeiture. David Antonio Roque Palma is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Ricker Roque Palma is a bond forfeiture, both citations. Jason Spone is the default judgment. Tierra Straughter is a default judgment. Casey Joe Swenson Adams is a default judgment on all 5 citations. And Wade Allen Swenson Voice, I'll note for the record that the defendant passed away in February 2023. Because of that, all 6 citations against him are dismissed. Giancarlo Velez Soriano is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Jesse Ray Wegler Wunsch is a default judgment. Christian Walker is a default judgment. Ashley Caroline Walker Ray is a default judgment. Delvian Watson is a default judgment on both citations. Siobhan Shanta Wilson is a default judgment on both citations. Daniel Winters is a default judgment. Tammy Wood is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Julie Young is a bond forfeiture. And that concludes the initial appearances.
And some hearings that would probably easier while I have you for you to sign rather than probably been mailing them to you. There was city attorney agreement and they abided. All 3 of these are the same. They were agreements.
Okay.
At 3 trials.
Okay, so that one, no further, so failed to appear. Oh, if we had 3 people, stay out of trouble.
Yes. And last one is requesting reopen, which is already talked with the city attorney and they have an agreement worked out, so it's just a formality. That's it.
Nothing else? Thank you. Court is adjourned.